Nate says, I'm really worried about the matchups in our secondary. Of course, Cam, you had mentioned the absence of Al Blades Jr. Depending on how they play will determine if we got a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, North Carolina is, I mean, but you know what it's the phrase, but you know what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, North Carolina, they're going to throw the ball, and they're very effective when they throw the ball. And obviously, you know, they have a very strong offense. So we've talked about running the ball. We've talked about throwing the ball. Like, I mean, they present multiple ways to, you know, be a problem. And, you know, we've seen Miami go up against them, you know, obviously every single year. You know, I think that without having a blown coverage on 4th and 17 last year, I mean, we win the game. You know, so I don't think this is going to be a blowout either way. I think that these are two teams that don't like each other. I think that these are two teams that are very much going to be up for this game. Miami's going with the Miami Knights uniform, so the new 2.0 all black everything uniforms with the black helmet and the orange grill as well. So the helmet's going to match the uniform like 100%. So like they've done the all black helmet, so it's black with black, but it's black with the orange face mask now. So you're doing that, and then you know, North Carolina's going with the white hat, the white jerseys, and the dark blue breeches because you know North Carolina's Southern and everything. But I mean, it's going to be two sharply dressed teams and everything. But you know, even on that, they're going to say, you know, we look better in ours, and we look better in ours, and you know, like this is not going to be the Duke game, guys. This is, you know, not going to be on easy. It's not going to be in the Florida State game that we won by 6 touchdowns. You know, let that not go by the wayside, guys. We beat Florida State by 6 touchdowns this year. Beat Duke by 7 touchdowns. This is not going to be that. This is going to be two strong teams, two teams that, you know, obviously, if this were a normal season, would have designs on this game at the end of the year being the de facto ACC Coastal Championship game. This is going to be a tough test for both squads. And obviously, who performs better, who has the perseverance and the performance will end up on top, I believe. But yeah, this is going to be a tough game. You know, in North Carolina's defense, they got some guys who make plays. You know, the former quarterback Surratt wearing 21 on defensive linebacker now. He's a guy to know. You know, they got some other guys. You know, they recruited really well in the North Carolina area, like in their home state, and pulling guys and keeping, you know, good level athletes over there. So yeah, this is not going to be an easy game. And I think that one of the keys, if not the key to the game, is going to be Miami's secondary versus the plethora of wide receivers that UNC is going to employ, because we know how, or we can reasonably assume how the front seven is going to play, how maybe even the safeties are going to play, but are those safeties whose strength is not coverage going to be tasked with man-to-man coverage against this team? You know, if we're going to go single high safety and say, okay, there's one guy playing center field and hopefully he can read the eyes of the quarterback and get there, that means everybody else is going to be man-to-man, right? We've seen that these safeties don't have great man-to-man cover skills. Remember the Louisville game when Bubba Bolden, who even that week I believe was the national defensive back of the week nationally, got lit on fire by Tutu Atwell when he was in the slot playing one-on-one man-to-man coverage. Those few snaps, I do. Remember Gervin Hall? I do. Remember Mari Carter man-to-man coverage? I do, and it's not necessarily great. They're going to maybe have somebody over the top of them, and they're going to have to, because again, we only have 4 scholarship cornerbacks, 2 of them being freshmen. You're going to have these guys play coverage sometime, you know, and it's just going to really be, I want to see what this game plan is going to be like and everything. But yeah, I think that the back end, the defensive backfield for Miami stepping up against the potent North Carolina passing game, that's going to be the thing, because I know that North Carolina wants to run the ball, and I think that they're going to try. But it wouldn't surprise me if they just said, we're going to take shot after shot after shot after shot after shot down the field until you stop it. And we've seen teams who don't even have offenses and passing games as good as North Carolina have success with that against Miami in the past. You remember that Orange Bowl, against Wisconsin, in the game in which Malik Rozier threw the worst interception I've ever seen on that slip screen? Remember what happened on the Wisconsin offensive side with Alex Hornibrook, though? And he threw up all those 50-50 balls, and their receivers were, all of them were Megatron, Randy Moss, Julio Jones, all put together, just over the top. Give me that all day long against a pretty good Miami secondary. So we've seen a bad passing game do, like, numbers, like pinball numbers against the secondary. So now we have a secondary that is probably not as talented and not as good on a performance this year, with a passing game that is way better than some of these other ones we've seen. That clash, how that interaction goes, is going to be key. But also with that, when you asked me about the Duke game, who stood out, the first two names I said were who? Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche. I need those guys to get up the field. Hopefully, if they are healthy, I need John Ford and Jared Harrison Hunt, your starting defensive tackle group. I need them to come back from their COVID absence, and I need them to get pressure up the field, because if you're just relying on the defensive backfield to do it all themselves, with all due respect to those guys, I'm not sure that they can do it. But if not, if you're getting some pressure and you're shortening down that time and all those kind of things, you're doing some pattern reads, maybe you're jumping a route like Trajan Bandy against Notre Dame in 2017, maybe you're taking a calculated chance, you then have some ways to scheme around that. But it's going to take all hands on deck to do it. But yeah, I'm really looking at what these defensive backs are able to do against Carolina's receivers, because that's going to be real kind of important.
No, I'm not going to tout myself as being well read enough or to have diagnosed the tape well enough to compare the North Carolina and Clemson offensive lines. But I do know that North Carolina brought 4 back from last season and only lost a starting center who was like an all-ACC player. Clemson, just the inverse, they only brought 1 back from last year, but of course they recruit out of their minds. But if you take quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, skill position players, we could sit here and argue all night as to who's better, Clemson or North Carolina. I think it's that close. I think it's really close because Clemson's not bringing the wide receiver talent to the field that they're bringing the same talent, but they don't have the same productivity that they typically do. They've had a lot of guys let them down, but North Carolina has been, it's just, they are facing Miami, meaning the best or the second best group of quarterbacks / skill players that they faced this year.
Oh yeah. I don't think that's, even a question. I mean, nobody else on the roster that are on the schedule has the kind of talent that we're going to see this week. But the other thing that should give you pause about that is that we've seen teams with less talent be very productive. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough game for sure. But we stay ready, so we don't have to get ready. So let's go.
Chug Mo Beer, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that. Hello, Mark and Cam. Great content as always. Subscribe and pound that like button. Let's go, Canes. 42-31 pick out of Chuck Mo Beer. 42-31 Canes. It's great to be a Miami Hurricanes